Oh, hey everybody, this is Charlie, garage door trainer extraordinaire, YouTube star. I just wanted to talk about a walking torsion tube. And so what's happening here is I open this, we'll see where we have some space between our drum and its angle. And as I open this, it gets bound up. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, but I can feel it. All of a sudden, that drum is touching the metal angle. So why? Oh, come on now. Come on, Bessie. Let's get on down. That's it. That's it. Oh, so occasionally with a walking torsion tube, we're going to have that thing bounce off when it closes, but nonetheless, it's walking from right to left. Now the question is why? Seriously, answer that. Why? Why would a torsion tube walk from one side to the other? There's two springs on there. Sometimes if there's one spring and it gets really strong and really long, it'll want to collapse itself back, pushing everything over. That's why we have those locking bearings. But there's also something else going on here that I'll show in just a minute. But think through, why would it walk? That's right, generally something's out of level. So what could be out of level? We'll take some measurements here and I'll show those off. I do want to talk about a cheat real quick, and I put a Band-Aid on here yesterday just to get by, and it ran pretty well. So we've got locking collars, we've got locking bearings that we can put on the end that is being walked away from. So in this case, I put a locking bearing on the end there and created a lock on this thing so it wasn't going to walk. So we got the Band-Aid. When we go ahead and measure, we'll save some shortcuts here. Typically, we're going to find something mismeasured in the torsion tube itself. So I've got essentially 105 in an odd perspective on the ground on that side. If I come to this side, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's 104 and a half or 3/4. So we're about 1/4 to 1/2 inch shorter on one side over the other. And then I start looking at why. I've got my vertical on the bottom here, flag, bottom there. That's good. Flags seem to be about the same. I look at where I have my angle in on that button. It's pretty much towards the bottom of that slot that it's sitting in. Come over here. I've got pretty much the bottom. That's good. I look at that and I've got that one raised up a little bit, and maybe that's my 1/4 inch. I'm going to be measuring everything else. Make sure that my bearing brackets are nice and even so that this hole is on the same plane as that hole, and I'm going to make my adjustment. So let's see if I can get this set up. We'll see old Charlie go to work. All right, time to go find the mismeasurement. Let's go see where we can find out what is going on. So, top of door to middle of the torsion tube, 8 inches. I'm gonna run top of the angle to the torsion tube, 4 inches. What are we gonna find when we get to the other side? That's the real question. So you know what we always say in the door business, symmetry is a beauty. Oh, I'm gonna get this drum out of the way. There we go. Okay. So we had 8 and 4 on the other side. I want to check this. I doubt Rainer would send us something weird, but that's spot on. 4, 8. I'm going to set up top here. And we've got it like 7.5. So that's a distinct difference. We're going to find it right in here. So I'm going to make some adjustments. While I'm at it, I'm also going to change out these bearings to a bigger flange so that it can run right against the drum and not have as much little wiggle room and movement. So the other piece that I see out of symmetry is we've got this top bracket just slightly off from that one. It's a super minor detail, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drop the bracket, switch the bearings, move this up so we can gain that symmetry. And it seems like everything else is fine. I'm going to take another measurement off the flags, make sure I don't have to move the flags, and then we'll put it back together. So these are the bearings I'm talking about. It's got that extra little bounce out of a flange, so I could step out those drums, run the drums solidly next to that without hitting any of the metal. So while that one's getting pulled over, running into the metal angle, this with that flange would stop that from happening. But if there's enough of an imbalance in that thing, then it will still continue happening and will affect the longevity of this door. So here we go. Trainer Charlie goes back to work. Now we've got the torsion tube even on each side. I've yet to open this. I just wound up the springs. I'm expecting this thing's going to run smooth. If anything happens, potentially the cladding on the outside is now going to hit the drums because they're a little bit inside. We do have those bearings with the wider race on it, so the drums can't go anywhere. They're pushed again to the bearing. So a couple differences, and let's go ahead and give it a run. Cleared. Everything's looking so good. Running pretty well. The drum's not hitting itself. Got good spacing. Got beautiful symmetry. Love, love, love the symmetry. Hot coming at the very top, but that's to be expected. We've got a big window panel in here, so that's a lot of weight up on top of this door. Give it a run on the machine. It sounds so much better than it was. I do hope you enjoyed this week's version of Charlie's Garage Door Service Tech Training, when we talked about a torsion tube out of level and walking. Torsion tubes are going to maintain their place when they are level. So again, if you come across a garage door with a torsion tube that's walking one direction or another, it could be a product of primarily two things. One, potentially there's a designed spring without a locking bearing on it, and just one, which as that spring winds up, it gets long and it's going to create tension pulling on one side or the other. In this case, we have two springs. It's balanced out. There's symmetry in the springs, and it was still walking, which tells me there is at least a 1/4 inch, if not a 1/2 inch difference in the level of that torsion tube, and that's exactly what we found. So we're corrected that by raising up the side that needed to be raised up. We got the level in the torsion tube. It looks beautiful. It runs beautiful. Put this together and it's a beautiful solution. It's going to last for a long time. Our client's not going to call us back.